has been a multi-pronged one. While encouraging the domestic data processors to adopt the most rigorous standards of security, like BS 7799, by imparting training to the effectives, and at the same time looking at the legislation and the subordinate legislation to see whether there are any gaps that need to be plugged. This exercise has been a consultative one with the participation of all the major players, all the stakeholders, and above all the legal luminaries that have been, the legal luminaries who have been willing to help us in this task. And I must acknowledge in this context the seminal contribution that has been made by Mr. Pavan Duggal. We have made heavy demands on his time, and he has been very generous with it and has been making valuable suggestions. Even yesterday I received a detailed exposition on the scope and implications of the provisions of Section 87(2)W of the Information Technology Act. Apart from Mr. Duggal, there are other leading lawyers who are authorities in their own right insofar as information technology law is concerned, who are willingly supporting our endeavors. We have received very valuable suggestions from NASCOM and other industry associations as well. And I am confident that in the next few months it will be possible to apply closure to this exercise and remove this lacuna, if it is at all a lacuna in our legislation, and then not give an opportunity to the detractors of the industry to inhibit its growth. I am looking forward to the recommendations that emerge as a result of the deliberations in this seminar, and we will be able to incorporate them in the legislative initiative which is on the end. With these words, I declare the seminar open.
Thank you, Mr. Jaiswal, for your kind words. We now have with us on the dais Shri Kiran Karnik, who is President NASCOM, and he represents the information technology and the ITS industry in India. We would like to welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for taking out time from your schedule and being with us today. May now request Deepti to present a bouquet of flowers to Mr. Karnik. Since we are all here today for the unveiling of the book, The Law of Business Process Outsourcing, which has been authored by Mr. Pavan Duggal, I would like to invite Mr. Duggal to share a few words about the book with us.
Mr. Jaiswal, Mr. Karnik, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you, all of you. When I was actually advising a number of BPO clients, one of the main queries that was coming across was, do we have something which we can read up, some 2-3 pages? We are having this problem, or we are facing this issue. Actually, you know, when we actually look at the outsourcing industry as a whole, its growth has really been remarkable. What really was never in the horizon in the late 90s, today is an important priority for Indian nation, and we all believe that the ITES sector, the IT-enabled services sector, as also the BPO sector, is going to be the engine for further growth of IT economy in our country. The question that arose was, in the initial days, everybody was on for business. And because business was the first priority, law was never a priority. But as this industry now moves on a more mature phase of growth, there is an increasing need to really focus on the legal issues. The conception that the BPO industry does not require law is misconceived. There are a number of legal issues that impact the BPO operations. From the time you want to plan about the BPO operation, to the time you set up a BPO operation, to the time you actually deliver services, to the time you actually conclude the contract. Each stage is full of legal issues, legal subjects that have to be very carefully treaded upon. And therefore, it's absolutely essential that I thought that we must have something which will be a collation, which will be a ready referencer for everybody in the industry. Therefore, I wrote this book, which took me about 9 months to write down. Now, in doing that, of course, I was handicapped because there was no one source of compilation available. There was no ready referencer, so we were virtually on a virgin wicket. But however, I did have in mind the industry. Therefore, I wrote this book primarily keeping the industry in mind, keeping people who are non-lawyers in mind. And therefore, anybody who's involved in the outsourcing industry, either as an investor or as a foreign client, or a service provider who's providing services, whether a call center service, whether a medical transcription service, whether legal transcription service, you name it and it goes on. To people who are even subcontractors. Because this industry is going at such a furious rate, it's obviously not possible all the times for contractors or vendors to do all their services through themselves. And in a large number of cases, subcontractors come in the way who actually take part of the subcontract and deliver the services. Therefore, this book addresses the needs of everybody in this sector. And it's a must-read as far as I go. As an author, I will tell you, for anybody who's into this sector, because it really highlights some of the major issues that impact the sector. Whether it's the issue relating to what needs to be a part of the BPO contract, to what should be in your SLA, the service level agreements. Is data protection, the Honorable Secretary mentioned about data protection being a major thrust area. One of the main arguments in the West is that data in India is not secure. I'll tell you, this conception is purely misconceived. In the sense, we have enough teeth under the existing law to protect our data. And a lot of people don't know about it. This book talks about that. That does not mean that we do not require new initiatives. We require new initiatives, and that's why the government, led by the Honorable Secretary's ministry, is in the process of coming up with new provisions in this regard. This book also talks about spamming. Is there a need for you as a BPO service provider or as a client to really comply with spam laws, whether in any part of the world? Well, the basic rationale is that if you are targeting a target jurisdiction, then you will have to comply with the local laws that are actually applicable in the concerned jurisdiction. This book also gives a detailed analysis about the various US laws and the European Union laws that you would need to be complying with. And you need to comply that on a more proactive basis. It gives a comfort level to the client, to the customer, that look, the service provider, though based in India, is already giving me the compliance so that I'm not going to be legally liable. It talks about various issues relating to information security. A lot of people feel, I need to set up a BPO unit and I start work. It doesn't happen that way. Now, as the industry is maturing, we need to put up immense focus on information security. And the law already has various connotations for the BPO service providers on what they need to do about information security. So in a nutshell, this book tells you all that you really need to know. If you have got any association of any kind whatsoever with the outsourcing industry in any capacity. And of course, it's going to be a great value for all lawyers who would be addressing their respective clients and their needs. And that's the reason why I thought I'd write this particular book. With that words, I'll like to take my seat back. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Introduction to your book.